before then that did this, but they were fairly expensive. And these were a 4x3 format only. There was no 16:9 format at the time. This was the standard 4x3. So how do you get a 4x3 onto a 16:9 television without the black bars and without having to stretch the image and make everybody look really fat? Well, what they did is they had things called squeeze Laserdiscs, and what they did was they took a 16:9 format or signal, they squeezed it just like you would stretch a 4x3 into 16:9. They squeezed a 16:9 into a 4x3. So if you watched it on a regular TV, everybody looked really thin and really tall. But when you watched it on a widescreen, you could safely stretch the image and it would look normal. It was actually very cool. Not many discs, I believe, were released with that. I think the Star Wars discs were, or at least one set of them. There's 32 million versions released by Lucasfilms, but yeah, it had digital audio, which was 16-bit, 44.1. I mean, uncompressed PCM audio, identical to CDs, compact discs. And for movies, that was phenomenal. And to this day, I'm not sure what Blu-ray is, but I know DVDs at least can't touch that. They have that format, but it's compressed audio. And believe me, that makes a difference. Like I said, the video is full analog. And let me see what else. It's in a composite format. Oh, Muse Laserdiscs. When I worked for Panasonic, we had a CRT, I think it was like an 80-inch widescreen television. I mean, this thing was absolutely huge. And I couldn't even imagine how heavy this thing was. But it was in our demo room. And I mean, we turned this thing on, all the lights in the whole freaking building dimmed. But it had a beautiful picture. It was a flat screen, even though it was a CRT, it was still flat. And I originally had thought maybe, it was like a rear projection or something, but it's not. It was a true CRT. This thing was freaking huge. Anyway, we had a Muse player, and there was only a handful of discs released. And what Muse is MUSE. It was essentially a high-def Laserdisc. It wasn't digital. It was this, essentially, right? This here, all the same everything, with the exception of the video was encoded in high. It was a high-def video. Now, obviously, there is behind the scenes a lot of changes, and the way things are saved, and I don't know too much about it. I'll be honest, completely honest with you. But it was a high-def disc, and they thought that was going to be the way of the future. Yeah, no, it didn't really take off, and I mean, to manufacture this here was so unbelievably expensive. To buy them was expensive, and it just, read up on it. It's very interesting of the things they had to overcome. Just, the video interfered with the audio, and the noise reduction of the audio interfered with the video. I mean, it is the most rigged format out there, but it's also one of the favorites, really. So, anyway, let me show my cats running around the bottom of the on screen. Now, some of these players had, some digital features to it. And it's playing, you can hear it spinning up. And some of them had auto flip, which really didn't flip the disc. It more or less just had mirrors on either side of it, and would spin the disc in the opposite direction, then use mirrors to redirect the laser and the pickup. Yeah, the sound is awesome on these things. Let me fast forward a couple tracks. Just like a CD, you can jump between tracks. They call them chapters, but same diff. Let me fast forward here. yeah, you can fast forward and you can rewind. There's a little jog dial.
When I was hurt and I was helpless, because the things you say and the things you do surround me.
I'm sure the yeah, and filming a LCD TV with a camcorder doesn't do the picture justice. I understand that. Let me see if I can just. Yeah. If you can see what I'm looking at, Laserdisc versus DVD, no competition whatsoever. The colors of a Laserdisc are unbelievable. DVDs, they seem very muted, very pastelish. Laserdisc, it's awesome. Now, I'm saying that with knowing full well that Laserdisc use NTSC. If you don't know what that means, one of the jokes is what NTSC, not the same something color. I forget anyway. But yeah, it's up to the TV to pretty much decide what color goes where. But the quality was excellent. Now for DVD, DVDs are higher resolution, and let's see, you get this. I'll give you an example. You get these sleeves with it. I actually wound up using different sleeves. Get them. Did I put them in the correct? Yes, I did. Excellent. I'll just leave that here for now. Anyway, yeah, DVDs have a higher resolution, but the color range of a Laserdisc is far superior. If you don't believe me, go on, even though you're going to still be seeing it on a computer, it still shows. You look at, just type in DVD versus Laserdisc in Google, and if you click on images, one of the first images, I believe it should be Simba from The Lion King, and it's from a forum, and they do comparisons between them, and you know, there's some changes because obviously when they master them, they increase the contrast or whatever the case is, or you know, they mat it differently. But you'll see that the colors of the Laserdisc version blow away the DVD version. Now the DVD version is much sharper, but the colors, so you'll have to see. And no, I'm not on acid, I'm not going, wow, the colors, but you get my point. Captain Ron, I have this on DVD and loved it. Saw this on eBay, so I had to buy it. And I watched it and realized that, wow, the sea's actually supposed to be like a bluish green, and there's clouds in the sky. And went back and looked at the DVD and realized that the DVD just was bland. It was very digital. That's not a word, but it, yeah, I don't know. All the colors were very pastelish, and they weren't very vibrant. Yet on the Laserdisc, they were. I mean, it was when the one scene when I think Weeby Jammin' starts playing, and they're fixing up the ship going across the ocean, and obviously they're in a sound studio and all that, I believe, unless they're really out there. I don't know. Either way, I mean, you should see all the different variances of color in the ocean and in the sky, and then you play the DVD and it's just blue, like boring. Who cares? So that's why I hold on to these. This is cool. Now that's a picture. These are called Laserdisc condoms, or disc condoms. Nobody likes them in their ship because they're uber cheap. They didn't really protect it worth anything. But I don't know if you can see that. You can see all the pits that are in there, all the pits and landings. It works similar to a DVD or to a CD or DVD in the way that it reads the data, but it's analog. It uses pits and landings to create the signal. But this is one side. It's also a CLV. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say. CLV is pretty standard. CAV has less, space on each side of the disc. However, you can do still frames, and you can actually call up. It'll show the frame number that you're actually watching. So as you're watching it, instead of a time, you get a frame number, and most machines will convert that into time for you. So you could do like a frame by frame by frame still images with these, or with CAVs, not with CLVs. CLVs, when you pause, you get a blue screen. And some later machines, the ones that had auto flip, they had a digital buffer that when you hit pause, it would save the last frame into a digital buffer and just display that on the screen. It wasn't a true still frame, but it worked. Again, rigged. This, I'm sorry, I'm trying to hang on, is Mighty Ducks D3. And looks like the rest. This is side 2. Actually, this is side 2 that goes in. This is the actual side 2 because it reads from the bottom. But if you notice, I mean, you really don't see anything out of the ordinary on there. It looks pretty normal. It looks pretty normal on this side. Now we go to play it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It'd be great if it makes a liar out of me, because that means that I have the first Laserdisc in the world to ever fix itself from laser rot. Yeah, see all that speckles? That's laser rot. That's not going to get any better. That's going to get worse, to the point where the disc won't even play. But if I fast forward to a couple chapters ahead,
do I have a motion
it's gone away.
for reconsideration? I'm sorry, Coach, but unless there is a motion from a board member and a second.
That's that. But yes, anyway, like I started to say earlier, you have to spin these things and play them, and I haven't had a chance to. I moved from my house to this place, and I've kept them out of the basement. That's about it. But I play them occasionally. But this was cool. This was Starship, Knee Deep in the Hoopla. I love all the previous bands, basically Gray Slick. And I know this is, for Starship fans, this is like, the evil album, because it was pop. But this is what actually introduced me to Starship, and yeah, it holds a special place in my heart.